Earlier today, I came across a video someone had posted to Reddit. It was from a channel called Happy Tales, and it's of someone explaining why they aren't vegan. Now, initially I wasn't going to bother making a video response to this video, because, well, it was posted several years ago, but I started watching it, and in the video, the content creator, Megan, makes the claim that you can love animals and eat them too. And looking at her comments section, most of her audience was in agreement with her. So what I then did is I went onto her channel, had a search, and she is still uploading, but she's never uploaded another video on this topic, which means that she still believes, presumably, that you can love animals and eat them. And so whatever was in this original video, well, it must have been, fairly convincing. I also had a quick search and couldn't find any other vegan YouTube channels responding to this. So what do you say we watch it together and see if she can convince us?
Hey everyone, welcome back. This video is your bonus video for today. Today I did a Q&A video which is on my channel if you haven't seen that yet. This is actually the second video that I am uploading today. When I asked you guys what your questions were for my Q&A video, several of you asked the same question, so I decided to take just this video to answer that question, to make sure that my answer is really detailed for you guys. I've been getting this question so much recently, and I feel like asking somebody what they eat is like religion or politics.
You run a channel that is about caring for animals, so I don't know why you would try to imply that your audience asking if you eat animals is as taboo as them asking about politics or religion. Your audience just wants to know if you actually value animals morally. I mean, if they're going to take advice from someone for caring for an animal that they love, they'd probably prefer that someone giving them advice already cares enough about animals to not eat them.
Something that's probably not a good idea to talk about, which is probably why I haven't wanted to answer, and two, because what I eat, what I choose to eat, should not affect what I am doing here on this channel, which is providing accurate information about how to care for your pets. People can be so critical when it comes to this. I hope that I don't lose subscribers for being truthful, but I am not vegan or vegetarian, and I hope that you will stay through this video to understand why. Many of my followers have assumed that because I am an animal lover, I would be a vegan or a vegetarian.
Well, yeah, because how can you claim to love someone whilst paying for them to have their throat slit? It looks like when you say, I love animals, a percentage of your audience is taking that to mean, I don't kill and eat them. And I mean, that's a fair assumption, no?
But the truth is that some of the most influential people in the animal world have not been vegetarian. World-renowned conservationist Steve Irwin was not a vegetarian.
What? The man who would ambush wild animals, tie them up with ropes and tape, force them into stressful and frightening TV studio environments, and even keep exotic animals as pets, fueling the exotic wildlife trade. You're telling me that guy wasn't vegetarian or vegan? Whoa, I'm shocked. I mean, I'm completely shocked. Look how shocked I am. My mind is blown.
You don't automatically have to be vegan because you love animals.
To not be a hypocrite, yeah, you do. If you love animals, you don't kill and eat them. That doesn't mean that you have to love animals to be a vegan, though. All you have to do is acknowledge that, to the animal, their continued existence is more valuable than a flavour is to you. Now, if Megan were to watch this video that I'm making, she probably wouldn't love me all that much. But I doubt she then thinks that it's okay to hang me upside down, slit my throat, and eat my flesh. And if she did pay for that to happen to me, and then she made a goddamn YouTube video after killing me, where she tries to claim that, actually, Ronnie, I really loved him, I think I'd probably have to come back as a ghost and haunt her.
There was an interview with Steve Irwin in which he explained why he was not a vegetarian, and I want to read that for you really quick. So this I found was an interview from Steve Irwin. I went through a big stage of my life where I thought, maybe it would be better to be a vegetarian. So I did research it. In no uncertain terms did I research it. Let's say this represents one cow, which will keep me in food for, let's say, a month.
So I have to interrupt here, and I will let her finish the rest of this quote, but I just need to point out that what Steve said is fallacious. There is no way the only thing he eats for a whole month is just the flesh of a cow. He definitely, during that month, would have been consuming crops as well. If he did go a whole month eating nothing but meat, well, we know how that tends to end up. Liquid diarrhea after 3 months in, which don't stop.
Now, that cow needs much food and land. Well, you can imagine that that cow needs X by X amount of land, and you can grow trees in it. Around the cow, you can have kangaroos, wallabies, you can have every other single Australian animal around the cow.
Now we are talking absolute nonsense. Cattle ranching is a leading driver of deforestation, species extinction, and habitat loss in general. No, you will not find loads of trees and wild animals living around the cows in Steve Irwin's fantasy ranch. You will find nothing except a field filled with human-made, selectively bred animals, some grass, maybe surrounded by some hedgerows. All the trees and the wildlife that otherwise would have been there have been removed so that we humans can raise animals that we've bred into existence purely to be killed. Spitting some facts now. Globally, animal agriculture uses 83% of all of the agricultural land, yet provides only 20% of our calories and 40% of our protein. If the whole world were to shift to a plant-based diet, global farmland could be reduced by at least 75% with us still feeding every single human. To give that amount of land some perspective, that's the size of the United States of America, Australia, China, and the whole of the European Union put together. There is so much we could obviously do with this land. One option that we could do with some of it at least is to reforest and rewild and start restoring some of those habitats and undoing some of that damage that has been caused by animal agriculture to begin with.
If I was a vegetarian, to feed me for a month, I need this much land and nothing else can grow there. Herein lies our problem. If we leveled that much land to grow rice and whatever, then no other animal could live there except for some insect pest species, which is very unfortunate. People have been very critical of this statement, but that criticism does usually come from a place of ignorance. A big argument used by vegans is that consuming cow meat is destroying the environment. And that is a valid argument when it comes to factory farming. But not everybody understands that not all cow meat or animal products comes from factory farming. What Steve Irwin is talking about here is ranching, not factory farming. And there is big differences between ranching and factory farming. Ranching does not harm the environment in the same way that factory farming does.
Not in the exact same ways, perhaps, but in many of the same ways, yes, it does. In fact, in many cases, it can cause more environmental damage. What do I mean by that? Well, just think about it. I mean, yes, it's obviously true that a factory farm is hell on earth for the animals that are raised there. But if you want to compare factory farming environmentally with ranching, if you were to produce the same amount of meat from each, which do you think would need more land, more resources, and more time? That's right, ranching requires more of all of these things to produce less meat at the end. So environmentally, factory farms would actually be the way to go. Even though they might be causing more damage, that's just because they're producing more product. So comparatively, they're actually a lot less damaging than ranching would be if you were to scale that up to meet the demand that factory farming is currently meeting. Now obviously it's common for people to try and come up with counter-arguments to try and make ranching sound more environmentally friendly. One of those most common counter-arguments sounds something like, yeah sure, but ranching normally provides for small local communities, whereas like a big scale factory farming operation will involve a lot of long distance transportation. And I mean, yeah, that's probably true. What that argument fails to consider, though, is that if we actually look at environmental reports that look into the production of food, if we look at beef, for example, only 0.5% of the greenhouse gases that are produced to get that beef are from transportation. So it's a moot point. Another counter-argument that's actually becoming more and more prevalent, seemingly with each passing day, is for someone to throw out that industry buzz term, regenerative farming or regenerative grazing. Quick side note, if you're killing the cow, it's not really regenerative, is it? I mean, if you could chop the cow's head off and their body grew back, that might be a fair name for it, but otherwise, not really. Regenerative agriculture is the idea that you can take an area of land and raise ruminant animals on there like cows and sheep, as a way to store carbon in the soil. Unfortunately, or fortunately if you're the animals that don't want to have this happen to them, it's all smoke and mirrors. How so? Well, a report from the University of Oxford that looked into these claims, whilst it did say that yes, certain farming methods can sequester carbon in the soil, what they actually found is that at most it's only going to be 20 to a maximum of 60% of the greenhouse gases that the animals are actually producing that's going to be sequestered. So no, you're still producing greenhouse gases. On top of that, it only takes a couple of decades for that soil to reach carbon-soil equilibrium, and at that point it can't sequester any more carbon anyway. So it's not a long-term solution in the slightest. Regenerative agriculture, just remember, whenever you see it mentioned, it's not science, it's a marketing ploy.
The main differences between cattle from factory farms and ranching is that cows that are in ranches are kept out on pasture. They are eating grass instead of corn, and they are not pumped with antibiotics and all the other medication that factory farming animals have, and they grow at a much slower rate.
And then they get a bolt in the head and have their throats slit. I'm sorry, Megan, I thought this video was meant to give the impression that you love animals, but so far all I've seen is you talk of them as though they are products that can be produced in certain ways. Not once have I seen you speak about these animals as though they are victims who are going to be killed. And yes, animals raised on factory farms will grow faster because of the antibiotics, like you say, because of the feed that they're given. A lot of it's to do with the artificially controlled lighting. But animals raised on a ranch that are killed for you have still been selectively bred to grow bigger than natural anyway. Just like the animals raised on factory farms, they were born to grow larger than they would otherwise because you want to kill and eat them. Even if it's not as bad as factory farms, how is it okay?
Here in the Southwest and in the outback of Australia, ranches do provide wildlife with a sort of sanctuary and give them easier access to water.
Well, if the ranch weren't even there to begin with, the wildlife would already have their sanctuary. And it's not like if you want to give fresh water to wildlife, you need to be running a business on the side slitting animals' throats. These two things aren't related. To me, it sounds like all this talk of caring for wildlife, it's not actually being done out of a keen interest to do that. It's just being used as a really convenient excuse or distraction from the fact that other animals are being killed there. Sure, I murder innocent animals for a living, but I also provide fresh water to some wild animals. I mean, not the wild animals that trespass on my land, I will shoot them obviously, but, you know, some wild animals I give water to. So if you think about it, I love animals a lot more than any stupid vegan does.
So when you understand what ranching is and how it does affect the environment, you could understand why an animal conservationist like Steve Irwin would be all for it. So going back to Jane Goodall, she is a vegetarian because she is against the environmental damages that is being caused by factory farming, and she is also against animal abuse.
Actually, Jane Goodall is vegan now, thankfully, so good for her.
However, in an interview, she does say, "If we went back to the days when cows wandered in the fields and we took just a little from them, it wouldn't be such a bad thing, and it certainly would make a vast difference to the methane gases produced." To sum it up, she's basically saying the same thing that I just have.
No, she is not. You are quoting her in a conversation about the environment, where she has said that if we were to start exploiting animals on a much smaller scale, it wouldn't be the huge environmental concern that it is today. However, what you are trying to do is make it sound like Jane thinks that if we were exploiting animals on a small scale, she would think it was morally justified. That's something that she 100% does not believe. Jane Goodall is an inspirational human being, and to see someone mischaracterize such a compassionate woman like this, to try and make it seem like she's okay with killing animals needlessly, this is easily the worst and just most shameful part of this video so far.
And then, of course, the next issue that comes up is that isn't it mean to eat animals? We are part of an ecosystem and a cycle that we cannot break away from. It doesn't matter how intelligent we are as a species or how self-aware we become. We cannot escape from this. To think that we can survive in this life without taking from something else is just naive and egotistical.
Who saw that? Who saw what Megan just did? She just asked herself a question. isn't it mean to kill animals? And then she didn't actually answer it because, I mean, well, obviously, the answer is yes, and she doesn't want to say yes. Yes, Megan, the world isn't perfect, but that's quite literally the futility argument, which is a logical fallacy. Oh, we can never be perfect, so we might as well be allowed to cause as much harm to as many animals as we please. No, that's bullshit. We should always be trying to cause less harm. Why not? Hypothetically, if someone walked into my room now and just hit me in the face, and I turned to them looking for an explanation, and they said, no one's perfect, you know. Am I supposed to let them off the hook? Megan might think so, but I'm not going to. And besides all this, there is no vegan that claims to be perfect. Or if there are vegans that claim to be perfect, they're stupid. Of course, just by the fact of existing, we're going to cause some harm. It's just the way the world is. But acknowledging that fact doesn't then give us an excuse to go and cause more harm to other animals. I mean, think about it. If I go out for a walk after recording this video, there's a good chance that maybe I accidentally step on an insect and kill them. Would it then be naive and egotistical?
It's just naive and egotistical
For me to accidentally kill a bug and come home and eat a vegan meal instead of an animal-based meal. Megan, what you're saying, it doesn't make any sense.
I love animals, but I cannot choose to become vegan based on that, because that is basically saying that animals are superior to plants.
Oh, now here we go. She loves animals so much that she went into the internet to make a video telling everyone how an animal's life is no more important than a carrot.
Animals are easier for us to relate to because we are animals ourselves, and we're experiencing the world in a very similar way, through sight, through touch, through smell, and that makes it all more relatable for us. We do not have much in common with plants that we can see right away, and therefore it is harder for us to relate to them. And that is where a lot of people forget that plants are living organisms that are fighting to survive as well.
No one's forgetting that plants are alive, but yeah, you're right, of course we can't relate to them because they're not sentient. Can you relate to a rock, Megan? How about this office desk? What about this nice stained glass window? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be them? When you no doubt sat down and ate animals the night that you finished uploading this video, as you were chewing on the body of someone who just a few days ago had thoughts and feelings, did you find yourself sitting there going, I wonder what it's like to be a shoe?
So whether I choose to eat animals or to only eat plants, I am still sacrificing something else so that I can survive.
Exactly, something else, not someone else. I mean, sounds like a better sacrifice to me, wouldn't you say?
And some people may think I am completely crazy for considering the feelings of plants.
Yes.
But what about all the experiments that have been done with plants? Did you know that plants can see, feel, smell, and have short-term memory? There is even the possibility that plants can experience pain, which is currently being researched. Science is diving more into trying to understand plants and how they are affected by what happens to them. And if you don't think that plants matter when it comes to this subject, I really encourage you to look more into the experiments that have been done with plants. There is a book written by a biologist titled What a Plant Knows that shows that plants are actually more similar to us and to animals than we ever thought possible.
This is so goddamn misleading and dishonest that it almost genuinely hurts me. And yes, I am being somewhat serious. This does really bother me because this channel has a huge audience. And so a lot of people are going to watch this video. They're going to listen to what she says, not think about it, but they're going to take it on board. And from this point onwards, having watched a video, they're going to be of the belief that plants are sentient and to a similar degree to animals, and they're going to use that as an excuse to abuse animals. So videos like this, yeah, they upset me. Plants are not sentient beings by any reasonable definition of the word sentient. They have no brain. They cannot feel pain because they don't have a central nervous system. Yes, they're living organisms, and they do therefore need to be able to react to things in order to increase their chances of survival. Right here, I've got a mobile phone. This mobile phone can react to and respond to sound. It's got a touch screen, so I can touch it and it reacts to my touch. It can communicate with other phones, and it has memory. So in lots of ways, it can react with its environment. If I took this phone and I took an animal and I asked Megan, I'm going to harm one of these, which one do you think I should harm? Is her answer honestly going to be, oh, it doesn't really matter, I can't tell the difference between them, to be honest? This is what I don't understand. If plants could feel pain, if they could feel pain, why would it make any sense to grow a bunch of plants, breed an animal into existence, feed those plants to that animal for a few months, murder that animal and eat them, when you could just do just the first step of that, of growing the plants, and eat those plants? Am I missing something here? Can someone tell me what I'm missing?
As I said earlier, we are all a part of a system that we cannot escape from. So whether it is an animal or a plant, we are all fighting for survival. And the survival of one means the loss of another.
Alright, let's just grant that. Let's say survival of one means the loss of another. So here we have a corn crop, and here we have a pig. So, who should we allow to survive, and who shall we permit to die? Oh, it's just so difficult. They're practically the same.
What we can control is how our food is treated and how much respect we give to our food. I am an animal lover.
No, you're not.
But that doesn't automatically make me a vegan. Like many other people that work with animals, how an animal lives and dies is what matters to me. Which is why I try to support cage-free and grass-fed as much as possible.
Why not just choose not to eat animals? We're nearing the end of this video and you haven't given one good reason yet. Come on, Megan, chop chop. Time's running out.
I'm against factory farming and animal abuse, but I feel that the real answer is to support organic, cage-free, grass-fed, humanely treated, not becoming a vegan. I think that the consumer is what will change the market. A corporation makes changes for those that buy their product.
There quite literally isn't enough space on planet Earth for all of us, all nearly 8 billion of us, to eat animals without factory farming some of those animals. However, if we are to believe Megan, and we just all choose to not buy from factory farms, literal miracles will happen and the Earth will expand in size to accommodate everyone's desire for meat.
And those are all the reasons why veganism is not for me. If I ever did make a life change like that, it would have to be for health reasons, which I agree that a lot of people do benefit from a diet like this, but not everybody.
Oh, so she's more than happy to go vegan for herself, but not for the animals that she claims to love. Didn't she call vegans egotistical, like just a couple of minutes ago?
Naive and egotistical. However, I support you 100% if you decide to become a vegan or are a vegan.
Oh, that's so kind of you. I appreciate your support, I really do. I mean, I know it means a lot because you don't even know me. I'm just a stranger. And so for you to support me and for you to not support the animals that you say that you love, this is all just hot air, isn't it?
I think that every person should make that choice for themselves.
No, it should be for the animals.
And make the choice that they are happy with. But like religion, it's fine to be whatever you want to be as long as you don't force it on somebody else. So please guys, don't make any comments below that I should be a vegan or I should be a vegetarian. It just doesn't line up with my beliefs.
Here's a nearly 10-minute long video I made about why I abuse animals without actually giving you any good reasons why. Please don't comment about how goddamn stupid and pointless this has all been, because I don't want to have to start thinking about any of this. Okay.
I really hope that I don't lose subscribers over this, although I probably will. But if you are vegan, I hope that you can understand why I am not. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
So, what did you think? Are you convinced? Me personally, I'm definitely questioning my veganism right now. I mean, think about it like this. If Steve Irwin wasn't vegetarian, and plants can feel pain, animals deserve to die.